Toyota says they're going to send us a Venza to drive. All Venzas are hybrids, by the way. Let's take a look at the paperwork. First of all, it's made in Japan by Japanese workers in Japanese factory. That's a good sign. That means the quality is going to maintain a very high standard. This one's a fancy model starting at over 40,000 bucks, and as usual you have a bunch of options. Yeah, 1,400 for a fixed panoramic sunroof. Yeah, we all need that. A big jump from 35,000 bucks. 44 smackers. Big grand smackers. Here are the fuel economy claims. Nice if you can get it. We'll be driving it in the real world soon enough. By the way, we also did videos on two other Toyota hybrids. The RAV4 hybrid, seen here. And the top-of-the-line RAV4 Prime plug-in hybrid. They can be driven in both gasoline engine or electric only with a plug-in socket. We'll have all two of those links at the end of this video. So here you've got 3 Toyota hybrids instead of 1. At our test facility, let's open the door and roll this baby out. And here we go. Pretty nice looking vehicle. Actually, it looks a lot more like a Lexus, the sister brand of Toyota, upper sister brand, than it does a Toyota. One of the first things we do when we get a vehicle is take the headlights out in the dark and evaluate them, and we did that on a separate video, but if you didn't see that, we'll be doing this in part 3 of this video, so you won't be missing anything. And the second thing we do is check and see if there's a spare tire, especially on an SUV that might be going off-road. Who wants to go off-road without a spare? Not a good idea. Or especially in a hybrid, because very few come with a spare because of the space taken up by the battery system. So let's take a peek under the floor, see what we have here. Well, we do have a spare tire, and look at all the room we have under here. A lot of extra storage space. A good place to put the owner's manual, so you have more room in the glove box, too. Under all this plumbing, somewhere is a 2.5-liter 4-cylinder engine, hooked to 3 electric motors, creating an all-wheel drive system, 219 horsepower overall. Fuel economy is clean to be 40 in the city, 37 on the highway, and 39 overall. There are 3 things you might not be aware of, even if you own a Venza. I'm going to share them with you. Number 1, size-wise, the Venza fits in between the smaller Toyota RAV4 and the larger Toyota Highlander. That is on the outside. But here's what's interesting. While the Venza might be larger than the Toyota RAV4 on the outside, there's less room on the inside. Cargo space is 33 cubic feet for the RAV and only 29 for the Venza. And passenger space is 99 for the RAV and 95 for the Venza. So how does that work? I don't know. I'm just the messenger here. And the numbers I got came from the Toyota RAV4 hybrid. So being a hybrid doesn't seem to have anything to do with it. Although I must admit, when I'm sitting in the Venza, it does seem to have more room. Maybe it's because it's longer. In number 2, the rearview mirror isn't really a mirror. It can be, though. If you flick this button, it connects to a rearview camera with a very wide field of view. You'd be amazed that a lot of people buy these, they never flick a switch, and they don't even know they have a rear camera back there. They simply look in the glass. So if you have a Venza, and you have all these knobs, flick the switch, and see what you got. This is optional, of course. Not all Venzas have them, I'm told. Only the deluxe model like this. A very nice feature to have. And last but not least, we have a panorama sunroof that's totally blocked out to keep the sun from roasting you alive in the cabin. However, press this magic button, and abracadabra, just like magic, now you have a total 100% clear glass panel for looking outside, and with the sun being out at the moment, not a good idea, so I have to put it back in the solid mode. And yes, I guarantee you there are people who have bought Venzas who don't know this feature exists. They just figure the glass is blocked. So if you have a Venza with a button like this, you might want to press it and see what happens. And here we have a drive mode switch for Eco, Normal, or Sport. Yep, Sport mode and Hybrid. If I read my spec sheet right, the standard info screen in the Venza is like 8 inches. This is something like 12.3 if I remember. Very large, easy to see, but the operation leaves something to be desired. It's a bit more complicated than it needs to be. There's a learning curve. Once you get the hang of it, you'll be okay. But I wish it could be simpler. But you put it in reverse, you do get a nice large screen set up. The climate controls are very simple, but instead of knobs, you get this finger touch nonsense. It's very awkward to use. Why not give us a knob? Well, of course, because it's cheaper to do it this way. Wave of the future, it appears, at least for some manufacturers. Heated seats, air-conditioned seats, right here on the console under the shifter, which is the traditional type stick. Let's do some driving, starting with the power steering, and obviously it's electric. Doesn't really have much feel or feedback. But most owners who like hybrids aren't going to complain. They're not looking for a sports car with quick steering. So this will do. As we do in all of our videos, we're going to take some mild speed humps, around 15 miles per hour. See how the suspension performs on impact. Here comes a mild bump, number 1. Pretty smooth. Number 2. And the bigger, nasty one. Felt it slightly. Even though the Venza doesn't have as much interior room as the RAV4, it's longer on the outside, which might explain the smoother ride. Oh, another speed bump. With only 219 horsepower, pulling something like 4,800 pounds, this isn't going to be a dragster, but it's got a lot of grunt on the bottom end thanks to the electric motors. Moves out okay. Brakes are a little soft, as they usually are in hybrids, but stop pretty well. And this is pretty much what the fuel economy is going to be in the real world. Unless you keep doing the 0 to 60 runs like we just did, and it might drop just a wee bit more. We're going to take a highway drive around 120 miles. See if we can get a different fuel economy reading. Although my experience with hybrids, I don't think it's going to change much from the city driving we've been doing. None of the Toyota hybrids anyway. Not a bad thing. We'll find out soon enough. 36 to 37 mpg sounds pretty good to me. Alright, that's 115 miles, climbing from an elevation of 1,500 feet to 2,500 feet, with an outside temperature of 43 degrees, and resetting the computer from 0, we managed 31.3 mpg. Our official number. Let's do a 120 mile return trip, going from 2,500 feet elevation to 1,500 feet, so slightly downhill this time, and temperature's the same, low 40s. I'll try not to do any passing. Well, after about 120 miles, we're back where we started, down in the tunnel. We'll pull over and see what the fuel economy ends up being, and I was being very careful to keep a constant speed, not do a lot of passing. Well, here we go, 119 miles, 31 mpg. Oops, where'd the info go? If you want to see how this compares to the Toyota RAV hybrids, we drove 2 of them, and we have a link for those videos coming up at the end of this video. So if you're curious to see, all you have to do is click and watch. So what's my take on the Toyota Venza after a week of driving? No, it's really not a bad vehicle. I don't have any serious complaints. But you have to ask yourself the one question: if the Toyota RAV4, which has the same basic engine, offers more room at a lower price, which means this has less room for a higher price, then why not go to the RAV4 instead of the Toyota Venza? I can think of several reasons. First of all, the styling. This is definitely a better looking vehicle, more Lexus-like. In the dark, someone actually mistake it for a Jaguar. Go figure. Definitely a sharp looking rig. It definitely has a fancier cabin. Again, a lot of items from Lexus, more than Toyota. Plus you get that fancy sunroof. I don't think you get that on the RAV4, if you like such a thing. In between this and the RAV4, you might not have a choice, because at the time this video was done, almost all the Toyota hybrids are sold out. So you go down to the dealer and you just take what they've got. They might not have any more RAVs, and they might have one of these left. And then there you go, you end up being an owner. Coming up, if you haven't already seen that video, the headlight test and night drive, or go to the end and click on the RAV4 videos we did. The RAV4 Prime and the RAV4 Standard Hybrid. Your choice. Alright, dark enough. Let's take out these lights, see what they do. Look bright enough to me. And here I have the taillights. A good wide spread here. No problem seeing these. And the emergency flashers are connected to the taillights down here on the bottom. Interesting. Some emergency flashers on the outside mirror. Being drowned out by the headlights slightly. Now turn off the headlights, we can really see them. Very bright. Let's see, we have a lot of glare here from all the moisture in the air. It's kind of cold out here. Guess it doesn't really matter much on the rear. And since this is the deluxe model, we have the wide screen. Here's what you see when you put the transmission in reverse. Let's see what this button does. The rest of the controls light up pretty good. Nice gauge cluster. One thing I find annoying is when you turn off all these safety nannies that you might not want, you get all these warning lights on the gauge cluster. And that's fine. We're being told that they're disconnected. But why do they have to be an orange color, the same color as the check engine light warning? Orange means something very bad. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what happens if the check engine light comes on? I'm not going to notice it. These need to be a different color. I've been saying this for years, but of course they're not listening. I'm just a peon, a messenger, but they really do need to be a different color. And they're very, very bright too. Very annoying. It's their way of telling you to turn the gadgets back on. Now let's get back to the headlights. That's why we're here. I have the low beams on a wall 33 yards away, 100 feet. Very bright, good wide spread, but the height a little bit lower than what I would like. They really should be above the bushes, not touching the bushes. Now let's go to the high beam. Look bright enough, nothing spectacular. Let's do the dark, dingy street test. Got the regular headlights on. High beam. Well, they do reach out. Turn off. Oh, a little out of focus there. Camera didn't like that. If you watch my videos, there's one thing I do not like in a vehicle, that's auto-dimming mirrors that darken the mirrors when there are headlights in the back of you. That's fine for the highway, but not in city traffic. You don't want to drive in city traffic blacked out mirrors. It's stupid and dangerous. But here we have a good option. The rear view camera hooked up to the rear view mirror for a very wide spread. This does cost extra money, by the way. Optional on the fancy rigs. Very nice to have. off and on. Comes in very handy when driving in heavy city traffic. You see what's in back of you, on the side of you. Nice system to have. Although I see right now it's a little blurry because we have a bunch of moisture on the lens from the ice cold weather. You need to keep it wiped down, folks. Doesn't work if it's dirty. And on high beam, the headlights do a pretty good job of lighting up the signs on the freeway. Low beam as well. And a decent job for lighting up dark, dingy streets. By the way, I demonstrated this transparent glass sunroof in the daytime video. But if you press a button, now the glass roof turns solid. I know the quality of this isn't very good, but we're in the dark here. Press a button, and now it's clear again. Press a button, now it's solid. This is something usually available only on expensive vehicles, but you can get it on the Venza. Overall, the night test did pretty good. No serious complaints. I have to apologize for the sloppy sunroof footage, but when you're in the dark, you can only do so much.